The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Mary and Martha sent this message to Jesus. Lord, the man you love is ill. Jesus loved Martha and her sister Mary and their brother Lazarus. Yet when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed where he was for 2 more days before saying to the disciples, "Let's go to Judea." Upon arriving in Judea, Jesus found that Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days already. When Martha heard that Jesus had come, she went to him to meet him. Mary remained sitting in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." "Your brother," said Jesus to her, "will rise again. I am the resurrection and the life. If anyone believes in me, even though he dies, he will live. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? Jesus said in great distress, with a sigh that came straight from the heart, "Where have you put him?" And they said, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept, and still sighing, Jesus reached the tomb. It was a cave with a stone to close the opening. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." When he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, here, come out." And the dead man came out, his feet and hands bound with bands of stuff and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him, let him go free." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This story, the raising of Lazarus from the dead, is a story from the Bible that many of us know. We're familiar with it. That Lazarus, the friend of Jesus, had died. That his 2 sisters were weeping and mourning for him. And Jesus came. But it was too late. His friend had died already and had been in the tomb for 4 days, wrapped, bound in these bandages of death, his face covered. Jesus, in his grief, Jesus, mourning for this friend of his, Lazarus, went to the tomb with his sisters, and he simply said, "Roll away the stone. Roll away the stone." And then he cried out to Lazarus, "Lazarus, come here." And Lazarus came forward from the tomb. And Jesus simply said, "Unbind him and set him free." a stone, bandages of death, binding the one who has died. Jesus, who simply says, unbind him, set him free. I'm one of 11 children, the second born. Our father was an alcoholic, and he was the worst kind of alcoholic. We knew violence, we knew anger, we knew a whole lot of things that we should never have known as children. And all of us were affected by him. That bands of death were wrapped around us. My oldest brother, when we were young, was such a happy guy. We used to play and he used to laugh and he was adventurous. He was a great brother. But the years of alcoholism and violence took their toll on us, but on him in particular. Those bands of death, those bands of alcoholism, those bandages of violence were wrapped tightly around him. And Mervyn, my oldest brother, what he did was retreat into a cave, and he pulled a stone across. He retreated to that stone, to that cave, and he closed himself off to everyone. When our father died, it seems funny to say, but we were so happy. We rejoiced when we were gathering around preparing for his funeral. There was laughter, there was joking, and most of all, coming from my oldest brother. With the death of our father, it was as if he had pulled the stone away himself. He had unwrapped those bandages that had bound him. He had been set free. This brother of mine who had been so angry and bitter for years and years and years, at the death of our father, reverted to the person we knew when we were kids. Someone who laughed, someone who joked, someone who was adventurous. What about us in our own families? Are there times when we roll a stone in front of us so that we will no longer feel the hurt of people around us? Are there times when we take bandages and wrap them tightly around us because we don't want to feel anymore? Are there times when we place ourselves in a tomb because in many ways we have died? Think about this story. Think about Jesus, who said to Lazarus, who said rather to those around him at the tomb, roll away the stone that had been placed before Lazarus. Roll it away. Then he says to Lazarus, come here. And then that command, unbind him, set him free. My sisters and brothers, there are stones in our lives. There are bandages of death in our lives. But there is that command of Jesus. Roll away the stone. Unbind him. Set him free. My brothers and sisters were so pleased that Mervyn, our oldest brother, got to know that freedom again. Got to know that freedom that could set him back into a place of happiness, back into a place of laughter, back into a place of joy. We were simply grateful, absolutely grateful, that he knew that freedom before he himself died. Roll away the stone, unbind him, set him free.